and welcome to Mrs. Brookover's Art Channel. Today we are going to use a technique called origami to create a folded paper swan. Origami is the ancient Japanese art of paper folding, and I really want to stress the folding part before we begin. This project does not involve any gluing or extra materials. You will only be cutting for this very first step when we cut out our square of paper. And aside from that, our swan is made entirely from folding and creasing our paper. With that being said, it's really important to take your time, make your folds and creases precise, and I'll come back and talk more about creases in just a minute. You will have a much neater finished project if you do. I also want to remind everyone that we are not looking for perfection. Your teachers all just want to see that you tried your best and put forth your best effort. Also remember, you are welcome to pause, rewind, and go back and watch any section as many times as you need. So as we're working, if you find that a particular step is a challenge for you, that's all right. Do the best you can, make it as accurate as you can, and move on to the next step. To begin any origami project, you will need a square piece of paper. If you have this piece of paper that was provided in your paper pickup packet, this is already square. You will not need to do any measuring, just cut out this square. Now do not cut on the dotted line, that is our first fold line. So make sure you do not cut this into two triangles, keep it as one square. If you do not have that paper from the packet, you can use any plain piece of paper. You could use white paper, colored paper, you could even use a page of a newspaper, but the first thing you'll need to do is make it square. You'll notice my standard paper is rectangular. I have two sides that are longer and two sides that are shorter. This needs to be square. To do that, we're going to fold one corner down and make a triangular kind of shape. Now before you fold, notice this edge needs to be lined up with the bottom edge of your paper. If I were to press down now, this would not give me a square. So I need to pull until my corner is lined up with the bottom of my paper, but also pay attention to this side by my pinky finger. If this has a flat edge, you're not going to have a square either. You need to pull until that corner is pointy and this corner meets the bottom edge of your paper. From there, notice how this is still rounded, so I haven't creased it yet that far up. So once you have it lined up, hold flat with one hand, press down with the other hand, and you will get a nice fold. Earlier I mentioned creasing your origami work. To make a crease, all you need to do is run one of your fingernails along the edge, pressing down firmly. You'll hear a little bit of a scraping sound. And the other way. And that just makes the fold extra secure. It will stay shut when you need it to stay shut later in the project. So that's how you crease. From there, you will need to remove this extra flap of paper on the side. I only want this triangle because when I open it, that will give me a nice square. So to remove this flap, I recommend using a pencil and this edge kind of like a straight edge of a ruler. And I'm just going to draw a nice straight line down. And then when I open my paper, I have a very simple line to cut on. So using my scissors, again, this is the only time you're going to need scissors, I will cut carefully on that line. For origami to work, you need to have a pretty neat square, so make sure you take your time on that. Now this, you do not have to throw away. If you want to save it, you can repeat that squaring process and make miniature swans later if you choose to do so. So for now, we'll just set that off to the side. Now you have a square piece of paper to work with. If you already had this piece of paper, the rest of the steps from here on out will be the same. You just needed to cut out your square and fold on the dotted line. For the rest of my video, I'm going to be using a blue piece of paper for my origami project only because it will be easier for you all to see which side of my project I'm on. You can, again, use any color paper. It could be a page from a magazine as long as it's square. So step one, I already did this on my other paper when I was squaring it. However, if you have not yet folded, we're going to do what's called a mountain fold, where you fold one corner up from the bottom until it lines up with the top corner. And you should have your edge on both sides lined up. That way when you press flat, you will have a triangle. And I'll crease it just running my nail along the edge of my paper where it's folded. For the next step, you actually need to unfold your paper, but this fold line is still going to be very important. This is going to be our center line, which is a guide for the next few steps. And here I'll insert a picture that shows the dotted line that I am referring to. For step two, we are now going to fold in these two corners into a kite fold. So I'm going to fold until the edge of my paper lines up with my center fold. And I'm going to try to make it relatively pointy at the bottom. You don't want to have a large space at the bottom or have it overlap. And this part can be a little bit tricky, a little bit fiddly, so just take your time. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Smooth out that bottom corner the best you can. Press it flat. Use your fingernail to crease. Then I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm folding into the center line. So it should be lined up at the top, should be lined up in the middle, and should come to a rough point at the bottom. Then I'll press it flat and use my fingernail to crease. This is called a kite fold because it makes a kite. Now to go back again, if I were to show where those folds would be, I'm going to fold along those two dotted lines in. For the next step, which is step 2 on the paper, we are going to flip this entire thing over. So keeping these two flaps folded in, we're going to flip over our whole project and repeat the kite fold going the opposite direction. So I'm going to take this corner, fold into the center fold line, and I'm going to try to make it pointy at the bottom. Now this bit is a little bit fiddly. Take your time. And once you're happy with it, press flat down the side, crease with your fingernail so it stays. And I'm going to do the same on the opposite side, folding in to the center fold, trying to make it relatively pointy at the bottom. Press flat and then crease with your nail. And I'll go ahead and show a picture of where those folds are. And we are almost done. For step 3, we're going to take the whole bottom part and fold it up, not quite to the top, maybe about a finger space from the top. Press flat. I'll show that dotted line as well. And then we're going to fold down just the end. This is going to be your swan's head. This will be your swan's neck. So we have the neck going up and then fold the head down. Now the last step is we're going to fold everything along that center fold from the very beginning. I'll show this from the side as well. So from here, if I turn it this way, I'm going to fold everything in half. From the bottom, it would look like this, folding everything in half. And then to make your swan's head stand up, we will pull up slightly, pinch at the bottom of the neck area so that it stays. And ta-da, we have our origami paper swan. Great job, everybody! Remember to submit a photo of your finished project to your art teacher in their email, or to submit a paper version of your project to your homeroom teacher when you go and turn in the rest of your work to them. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.